Hello and welcome to another exciting Breakfast with Unity. I'm your host, Max Moreau, and today it's our first day playing with Unity 5 since it has officially released, and oh wow, how excited it is. So first off, we're just going to do an import on this thing. We're going to see how this goes. So Unity 5 has a few script changes and a few other things, so it actually has to upgrade your projects. Once you upgrade to Unity 5, it may or may not be easy to downgrade for a project. So be sure to back things up if you're running a project yourself. Version control will help with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click Breakfast with Unity and I'm going to let it start doing its thing while I discuss some of the things that have changed. So the big change recently is that Unity 5.0 now has all Pro Editor features in the free version. Alright, so while we're upgrading here, it says API update required. This means that we have scripts in here that use the old API, and so it has to change some of the script calls and stuff. Mostly this has to do with if you do .audio or .rigidbody, etc. Those are no longer there. You have to use getComponent in all cases. So I'm just going to say I made a backup, go ahead, because we're on version control, and it'll just keep going on things. But yeah, so all of the features that were in Pro are now in Basic. The only exceptions are you can't change the splash screen in Basic, which makes sense, so you still have to have the Unity splash screen in that one. And you don't get access to the new services that they have. So you don't get access to Pro Cloud Build, you don't get access to Pro Analytics, and a few other handful of things. But for the most part, anything that's involved in rendering is now in the free version, which is a really smart move because Unity has kind of gotten this reputation as being a quote-unquote ugly engine compared to some other engines that are available like Unreal. And part of this was because most people are comparing the free version to whatever the Unreal Pay version was. Now, Unreal is free as well now too, which is awesome. So honestly, I recommend that people try it out. Because for some people, Unreal is actually much better suited. Also, for some projects, it's better suited. So keep in mind that all these things are just tools, and have fun, explore them and stuff. You don't have to stick with one thing for your whole life. I won't be offended if you play around with Unreal, and I think that you should get some grounding. But yeah. Anyway, so we're going to be going over a lot of features that were previously Pro only this week, and also some features that are brand new. In today's case, this is a brand new feature that we're doing. We're going to be working with their PBR pipeline, which is physically based rendering. And I'll discuss more about what that means in a moment. I wanted to do this import on the show, so sorry that this is taking some minutes here. But I wanted to do it so in case anything bumpy happened, we'd catch it on camera. I don't expect that to happen, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen when we don't want it to, or when we need it to, or something like that. Worst case scenario, Murphy's Law and all that. What we're going to be focusing on today is reflection stuff. Actually, I've got something to show while this is going. So, I took a couple of example videos from games showing reflections. So, reflections, in order to calculate them, you have to basically render, if you want real reflections on an object, you have to render from each object that's reflective a camera from that object's perspective. This is, of course, incredibly expensive. And almost no game that I know of does it that way because of the fact that it's just prohibitively expensive to have every reflective object render a camera. I copied a couple examples here from games that I want to show. First is from Half-Life 2. So Half-Life 2 uses a reflection probe system. And what they do is they have areas that are that they pre-calculate the camera for. They map that to a texture, so they don't have to calculate every frame. They just do it once, and it's just an environment map. We've done those before to simulate reflections using an environment map. And so when you move between areas, you'll actually see on this gun, you'll see the ref map change based on where we are in the level. And so this one just has this hard pop. I want to show this because Unity actually gets rid of this hard pop transition thing. I find it funny that I evidently got some achievement progress while I was doing this demo. So this is how Half-Life 2 handles it. Basically, they just have a group of probes, and they pre-render the probes. You can do this in Unity. I wanted to show both of these examples because you can do both of these setups in Unity easily now. So the other one I wanted to show was from Grand Theft Auto. Don't worry, I'm not going to show anything like graphic here. So Grand Theft Auto 5, they actually do it slightly differently. They have a real-time reflection, but they only have one of them, and it's rendered from the camera's perspective. It actually provides really surprisingly good effect, but it does cause some artifacts. And so the way you're going to see it here is on the back wall of this store, there is a window. And you're going to see it's going to reflect as if the window was right next to the door. You see the door closed behind me in the window there? See, it's actually rendering from the character's position. And actually, it's specifically rendering from the camera's position. I actually show in third person here that it still is based on camera position when the character walks through, which is appropriate. I didn't, unfortunately, get a chance to test this on the cars. I suspect that it's possible that when you're in a car, it uses the car position and not the camera position. But I didn't think to test that. So I just knew this is a really good example to show the slight artifacts that you get from this workaround. So let's see what we've got going on here. So, we've got an error. Particle system, scripts, water hose particles, sample assets. That's a type collision event does not exist in the type unit engine particle system. Alright, well, this is part of an example thing. I'm just going to delete it. We didn't need it. We weren't using it. Even though water hose particles now has got me wondering what it actually did. Oh, what did I do? Okay, still scrolling. Oh, we got a couple more errors now. Lots of warnings, a few errors. Alright, cross-platform input. Oh, wait, no. Is this thing settling? Oh, BB10. Alright, so I'm just going to... I think we're using this for something, so I'm actually going to very quickly just get rid of this reference. So evidently BlackBerry either isn't supported or has a different name now. So BB10, I'm just going to find BB10. So we will just, search for that real quick. Is that the only two places it shows up? I guess so. I'm just going to delete this and see if it just goes away. Let's find out. Save. Yay, okay. Alright, well we did have a couple errors, so that's good. So it looks like this is working. Let's hit play and just make sure. I didn't quite get my color right, so I'm kind of in a hot pink when in play mode. I kind of like it though. I don't know, I may readjust it to be more red at some point, but yeah, I didn't copy that over directly, so at least it still is very obvious when we're in play mode. So what are we going to do? I'm going to create a new folder. We're going to call this, oh wow, this is a bad place for the folder. I'm just going to call it, I'm deleting this folder and going to create it in a better place. I'd rather have it in like something like, if it's going to be in somewhere, put it in there. There we go. 72, we're going to call this shiny new feet. Actually, we'll just call it reflections. Reflections. So, reflections. So, what I'm going to start with is just the basics. So, if we create a sphere, we're just going to create a sphere in the scene. And, where did that put that sphere? Where is my sphere? There's the sphere. And we're going to put it at, I'm going to put it 0, 0, 0. And then I'm going to also make the camera be at 0 in the Y, so it's facing the sphere. And you'll already notice that there's a difference in the rendering here. So we have this skybox, and you can see it in the editor. And the reason you can see it in the editor is because Unity 5 now has a much more advanced rendering system by default. You can actually see that the sphere is getting colored by the skybox. This is a diffuse white, but it actually gets bounce lighting and gets color hints from its environment. This is part of their new global illumination system. the other thing you'll notice is the shader is now called standard. We went over this briefly when the Unity 5 beta went out, but we're going to be going over it a lot more now. And we can't edit it by default because we need to actually create a new material that's editable. You can't edit the default materials. It won't create instances this time. So we're going to go into material, and we're going to just call this shiny is what I'm going to call it. So we're going to put this on our sphere, and now we can tweak the values. The other thing that's new is this nice disclosure indicator. You used to be able to do this, but you couldn't actually tell when it was closed. So I'm really glad that that's there to at least hint people that maybe there's more. So we got a bunch of little options and stuff here, and the big happy stuff is metallic and smoothness. So smoothness affects the roughness of the surface, and it has more of an effect. Actually, it has an effect in either case. So the thing is, all objects in the real world can reflect, and the reflection is actually based on how smooth the surface is. And so by adjusting the surface to be more rough, you get more of that classic diffuse, don't see anything reflected aspect. You still get some global illumination on this. Or you can pull it very smooth, and you'll actually get reflections in the object. Additionally, there's a metallic parameter, so we can change it to be more metal. And the more metal it is, it also becomes more directly reflective. Basically, if you're not a metal, you don't reflect the colors as much. You just kind of reflect the, like there is a small amount of the reflection of the color, but mostly you get the diffused color. When you adjust metallic, you get more of the reflection of the original color. So if you have pure metallic, pure smooth, you'll end up with this perfectly shiny metal sphere, which is what we're going to work with right now, just so that we can very clearly see the effects of what we're going to be doing here to the settings and to reflect things. So let's make this sphere reflect a thing. I'm going to create a 3D object, a plane. I'm going to put it down here. Notice that we already have shadows. It's kind of looking a little bit bad. Actually, I want to do something real quick. I'm going to save this scene real quick. We're going to call this reflections. We're going to put it into wherever our folder is in here. Save. And the reason I'm saving is because right now our project settings are old. They're from before. They've been upgraded automatically, but like our quality settings are on whatever they were set to before. I'm going to actually delete the quality settings and come back in here, just so that we get new defaults for that, because they've kind of changed a lot of things and I don't want to have to go through one by one. So GitHub, Breakfast with Unity, assets, oh wait, not assets, project settings, no, project settings please. And we're just going to take quality settings and throw it away. Just move it in the trash. If you're on Windows, just drag it into the recycle bin or hit delete or however you like to do it. So we're going to open up Unity one more time. Open up Breakfast with Unity. And there we go, we're back. And you can see things that are a little bit better looking. Maybe, I don't know. Graphics, project size, I just want to see what we have in graphics here. No, not graphics. Did I say graphics or did I do quality? I wanted quality. Oh, I did get quality. Okay, good. All right, cool. So we've got shadows. Everyone has shadows. Yay! You get a shadow and you get a shadow. Okay. So you'll also notice that we're not reflecting this thing yet. And the reason we're not is because this sphere, well, actually, there's going to be two things we're going to need to do. So first of all, we're going to need to make this static. So if I make this static, this doesn't actually solve the reflection problem. So we're still not reflecting it. The other thing we're going to need is we're going to need a reflection probe. So if we create a 3D object, sorry, a light object, and it's under light, there's a reflection probe. Reflection probes look like a little sphere themselves. And this sphere represents, when you click on it, this sphere represents what it's reflecting in the world. Now, this probe doesn't render when you play the game. It's just there to, it's just there to pre-render the reflective area here. So when we have this probe, if we want it to be perfect for this object, this probe would be in the same position. Now, if this object is dynamic and moving around, we might have a situation where we want to reflect differently in different situations. And Unity actually does. So this is like the first example I had from Half-Life 2, where we have a bunch of different areas, and then based on where you are, you have a different reflection. So I'm going to duplicate this reflection probe and move it over here as an example. So if we look at this thing over here, it's reflected to the left. That's fine because that's where it's at. And then on this one, it's reflected as if it's just directly beneath us. So if we move our sphere between, focus on the sphere, please. If we move our sphere between, you'll see that it will actually fade out between one and the other based on the proximity to the reflection. So it actually bothers to kind of blend the two textures together for you. This may be based on your settings and based on your platform. So I would imagine on mobile it's not going to actually blend between your probes. It's just going to pick a probe. And so on iOS it's going to look more like the Half-Life 2 example I showed, where things pop when you go to a new area. Now you can also set up real-time reflections in this system. And the way you do that is on our reflection probe, we can actually make it so that the reflection probe. So I want to point this out because it's important. If the object is not static, if we uncheck the static here, we will lose reflections on anything that's not checked as static. This is because the reflection probes are pre-baked, right? They're calculated once. And they're calculated right when the program starts, basically. So what that means is, if you have objects that are going to be moving, those objects will not update in the reflections. So this only reflects things that are marked as static because these objects are supposed to not move. So it will only reflect static objects. Keep that in mind. Now, if we go to reflection probe, though, I'm going to delete this second one here. Delete. And we're going to go to this first reflection probe. And this time we're going to change it so that instead of type baked, we're going to do type real time. So real time, we're going to do this. I'm going to do this as, and actually baked is actually not done at the start of the program. It's done before the program even starts. The texture maps are actually there. So refresh mode, we're going to do every frame, and time slicing, we're going to do all slices at once. And so now if we place this, I'm actually going to put the reflection probe in our sphere. And go ahead and put it at 0, 0, 0. So now, if we move our sphere, you'll see that the reflection actually updates in real time. Each frame is actually rendering from the camera point of view. And actually, when we're in play mode, I swear this actually updates even faster than in yeah. See how? I guess there's a little bit of chop to it, but like, you can see that the reflection is updating in real time, which is awesome. So now we've got real-time reflections. And this, I don't think, requires static. Like, if we uncheck static here, it's still going to reflect it. We'll see if I'm lying there. Nope, yep, see, it works. So we could have, like, say, another object. We could have a 3D object, a cube or something. And I don't know why it's not showing up in there. Maybe I was wrong. All right, so if I move this, there we go. Oh, whoops. Sphere. If I move the sphere, yeah, you can see the cube in there. There it is. It's in there. It was just hard to see. So the cube is actually there, and if we move the cube, it won't update right now because it's not in play mode. But if we hit play and move the cube, some of these things only actually work in play mode. I like that. I both like and don't like that they tint the editor view now. But yeah, as you can see, I can move the cube and you can see it reflecting past the cube, past the sphere. So when you're doing real time, you don't have to mark things as static because it's going to be rendering it real time. There's a few other options here too. Like, you can do individual faces, and this makes it a little more staccato when you're moving things around. Because basically every 6 frames it updates one of the it updates the face. So you can see that it's now a little choppier, but now it only is basically, instead of rendering all 6 faces, basically this is creating a cube map around the image. It renders one at a time, and so it's 1/6 the speed of updating, but it also is 1/6 the amount of processing. So keep that in mind if you're targeting mobile and you really want to have real-time reflections. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And do play around with this stuff. We're at 20 minutes, so I'm going to call this an episode. Um, there's a lot to learn. We're going to be going through a lot of different things. I want to give a high-level overview of this stuff so that people can play around. But this will get you started for making things actually reflective in your game and making that PBR look just awesome for whatever project that you're working on. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please email me, pushypixels@pushypixels.com. You can also tweet me at Drakfire. That's Drakfyre. Enjoy playing with Unity 5.0, and if you have the money, please support Cooking with Unity. You can support us on patreon.com/cookingwithunity. Thank you very much, and you guys have a great one. I'll catch you tonight with some Unity 5.0 stuff in Scape.